How's it going, Mike?
Hey, David, how are you?
When you're, I guess, individually coaching Linares, how much of it is, or how much of the time do you think spend on getting him ready for the next level whenever that day might come?
None. Yeah, I mean, we're getting him ready to go win football games.
What do you attribute some of the struggles to running the ball last week to?
Yeah, I just think it was, well, number one, when you lose yards on early downs, then it's hard to run the ball on second and long. We just got to be better overall. I mean, it's all of us. It's coaching and playing better. It's up front. It's the backs. It's it's a little bit of all of us. It's frustrating because we had drives where we were moving the ball and got the ball in the end zone, and we had drives where we were moving it and down on the goal line and lose yards, and so it's just overall just. I'm not going to say it's just one thing here or another, but yes, we definitely have to run the ball better and coach the running game better, and calling it better and have good balance, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Mike, kind of going off the run game, in the game, how do you feel like you have to adjust your play calling when something like the run game isn't going well? Like, do you feel like you have to rely more on the passing game, specifically like in this game against Missouri?
Yeah, no, I think that you just have a plan going in, and you always want to be balanced. I think you adjust certain things as the game goes on. Maybe there's certain runs that maybe you thought going into the game would be good. Maybe they're giving you different looks, or the opposite. Maybe there's some plays that you wanted to kind of wait and see what they were doing, and they ended up being plays that were going to be good plays early in the game. And again, you want to have good balance, and it's cliche like I know it kind of gets boring but if you kind of stay ahead of the chains and you stay out of the long yardage situations, and then all that stuff ties in better, the pass and the run. So.
What is your evaluation within the last 3 games of how successful the passing game has been, with receivers being able to get open and make plays for the offense?
Yeah, I think at times we had some big plays the other night. It was really good. I mean, I think all of us, when you look at it, you're like, wow, there's some really good stuff right there. Guys running by people for big plays, guys getting open on zones, and guys taking short passes and getting yards after the catch. Just got to see more of it.
Mike Linares talked after Missouri about some of the sacks and said, I've got to be better there. I got to know when to throw away. I guess my question is, how difficult is it to find that line to where it's like, this could be the play, but you also got to know you've got to get rid of that ball? Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard with a guy that I think we may have talked about this before, and you just can't. The number one thing is, and he knows this is not, you just can't end up in second and long if you're going to throw it on first down. I think we threw it a little bit more on first down in that game and had some really good plays, and it was back-to-back plays. We had one really explosive, and then the next play we run down inside. And yes, he does know that. And but you also, as a coach, there's a couple other plays too where he scrambled it out and ended up with a 3-yard loss on a sack instead of just throwing it away. But I think you can't take the freedom away for him to have the ability to make somebody miss in a one-on-one situation, even if it's behind the line of scrimmage. And you have to be careful as a coach telling a player, hey, don't do this, and then all of a sudden you're applauding him when he does what you're not telling him to do, but he breaks the tackle and runs for 30 yards. So it's hard. It's a fine line. But we try to, obviously coach up the rest of the play where maybe we don't put him in that situation where he's got to, see if we can get the ball out on time and get guys open and stuff like that.
Had a lot of success in the play action passing game on Saturday night, even with the running game not performing really well. Is that something that can still kind of become a big part of the offensive identity, even on nights when the running game might not get going the way you want it to?
Yeah, I think just in general, that's not, it wasn't just the other night. There's all different ways you can have play action passes, which is really hard play action passes where there's everybody totally selling out, maybe just a couple receivers in the route. Or you can have other play action passes where there's more guys getting out. Maybe it's not quite as hard of a fake, and then maybe some of the reasons that that the run game struggled on some looks were the reasons why we got some explosive plays in the pass game.
Mike, I apologize for being blunt here, but why pass on 1st and goal at the 2-yard line?
Yeah, sometimes that's a good question, especially when you lose yards on it. But yeah, there's a lot of times where that's it's like kind of like play action pass. You know, when are play action passes good? Are they good on 1st and 10, or are they good on 2nd and long? So, yeah, if you can get them where they think you're running it, and you can get a really clean look, which is what we thought we were going to do, and then obviously it wasn't that look. So, but yeah, I mean, you can talk about that, why you couldn't have run it, but if you know, we do, you know, we just, if it's wide open and you're saying, God, that's a great call, that everyone thought you were going to run it. So those are things you got to live with as a play caller all through your career, and you just hate for it to be a 2nd and long afterwards.
In the Missouri game, I think the total for running backs was 1 missed tackle. Was that something did they show you the ability to break tackles in fall camp or in spring, or is that something that maybe isn't necessarily their skill set?
No, I'm not worried. Our guys can run. Our guys can run and run behind their pads and push the pile. Our guys can break tackles. Our guys can make people miss. We didn't as an offense collectively give ourselves the opportunity for those guys to do that. But you know, everybody's looking hard at their own selves. You know, like I've said before, our guys are great. They practice hard. They listen. They do everything we ask them to do. It gets tough when you don't have success, but even this week they're grinding. They're working hard. They're staying together, sticking together, and not just each position, but collectively as an offense. They've done a really good job, and hopefully that it will continue to have good practice this week, and it pays off Saturday.
Yesterday, Shane was in here talking a lot about leadership. I'm just curious who you think is kind of an extension of your voice on the field besides Lenoris, kind of those vocal leaders on offense.
Yeah, I think the guys that have been here that are have you know a higher comfort level in what we're doing. You know, I'd say Brady Hunt and you know, and then Lenoris, and you know, we don't have a lot of older guys that have been here on offense. So, but you know, and we ask guys. You know, you talk about leadership. There's a lot of ways you can lead. You know, and number one, you got to produce. But if not, just you are very dependable on what you're doing, and just kind of being the same guy. And then you can provide leadership that way. And then you can provide leadership, you know, in between series. Maybe a guy has a bad play, misses a block, drops a ball, throws an interception. Other guys come up and, you know, hey man, we got it. Forget about that. Move on. Let's go. So we've got guys like that. Now, there's not a lot of guys that have been in our system that are older, that are those true, you know, kind of like, hey, you know, hey, circle up, everybody got up here, and you know, listen to me. We don't want guys to do that if that's not their personality. We want them to lead within their personality.
Seems like that receiver core is kind of shaken out a bit with guys who are asserting themselves, like Jacobs and Rowe and Harbor. What do you feel like you've got with that group, and is there any more room for other guys to emerge and add to it, I guess?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of it's pretty cool to see Dre have the game he had last week. Unfortunately, we were just a little bit short on a couple other plays, but he's done some really good things. But you know, kind of echo what Coach Beamer said. I mean, that position, and we kind of thought that's going in. That position is competition every week. There might be different guys this week on the field that weren't on the field last week, and competition gets as much as we like to say as coaches, we get the most out of guys. I think competition gets amongst guys gets the most out of each individual, and I think that room is full of competition.
Mike, you're, I guess technically 5 games into your tenure as OC here at Carolina. How do you feel like you've done so far with the play calling, and what, in your opinion, is working and what's not working? Yeah,
well, we got to be better, obviously. I mean, we got to be better. We got to move the ball better. We got to stay out of negative plays. We have to, be more successful on 1st and 2nd down, so we stay out of the long yardage situations on 3rd down. So and get into a rhythm. We said it last week, and really, unfortunately, it kind of was the same deal. We can't have the penalties pre-snap. That puts you in the red, in the behind the stick, so to speak. So I think if we do all those things and don't beat ourselves first, then we're going to see better results.
I think I counted in the Missouri game 4 times where Lenoris either like kind of rolled out either on bootleg or rolled to his right. Can you explain? I think a lot of people would say, "Hey, dual threat guy, get him out of the pocket if the protection isn't right." Can you explain maybe why you don't do that more? Like, what is the defense doing that kind of prevents you from calling that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a time and place for all of that, of getting him out of the pocket, whether or not it's play action or whether or not it's true rollout. And it's not just to the right. He had a play to his left, two plays to his left, where it was one on a short pass, one on a deep pass. So, yeah, but we also can't do it at the expense of where defenses are we're going to roll out into defenses that are going to keep you. So we got to find different ways to do it, and yeah, that's good. He does a really good job on the run, but he's also a good pocket passer.
Mike, 4 games, third of the season, it just seemed like the line really has a problem keeping free rushers coming right through the middle. How difficult is it to try to scheme your way around it when it's just guys just aren't getting it done?
Yeah, well, it's not when there's guys that are sometimes free, and unfortunately there's been too much of that. It's not necessarily the offensive line. Everybody kind of thinks that. It's all of us, protection-wise, so we got to make sure we're on point that way. And I think it starts with it starts with communication, making sure we all know, identifying who we have on that, and then once you do that, obviously working together between the offensive linemen or the backs or the tight ends, and then each guy doing their job and being fundamentally sound when they do it. Okay, thank you all. Appreciate you.